Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, guys. Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Liaquat. We're going through the Hanafi Fiqh. If you guys like the Hanafi Fiqh or if you like studying Fiqh, let me know in the comments, inshallah. And maybe I might start another book sometime. Now, if you guys are not familiar, I actually make other videos as well. Check out my YouTube channel, inshallah. I also have been making videos on tafaqquh, which basically means trying to understand a deep understanding of fiqh. Right, so check that series out and let me know what you think of it. Give me some feedback, inshallah. Alright, so he says, وَإِن تَكَفَّلَ بِنَفْسِهِ إِن تَكَفَّلَ. Right, so تَكَفَّلَ is from kaf, fa, lam. Right, so kaf, fa, lam, which means to take care of, to guarantee, بِنَفْسِهِ عَلَى أَنَّهُ إِن لَمْ وَافَى يُوَافِي مُوَافَات. From the word wafa. Okay, so wafa yafi, which means to fulfill. Right, so to complete, fulfill. Wafa, yuwafi, muwafatan. Waqt is time. Kada is like this. فهو ضامن. ضامن means someone who's legally responsible or compensating. لما عليه فهو 1,000. لم يحضره. أحضر يحضر إحضار. To bring someone, to present them. في ذلك الوقت لازمه الضمان المال. So becomes necessary. لازم يلزم ضمان المال, compensation of the wealth. ولم يبرأ, and he's not exonerated. برئ يبرأ. So from the word با را همزة. كفالة, guaranteeing. بالنفس ولا يجوز الكفالة بالنفس في الحدود. Hudud is the fixed divine penalties. Right, so there's 5 of them. Inshallah, when we get to that chapter, we'll be explaining those. Qisas, retribution. عند أبي حنيفة وقال يجوز الكفالة بالمال وأما الكفالة بالمال فجائزة معلوما, means something which is known. علم يعلم معلوم. المكفول به, the thing which the guarantee is being done upon. مجهولا is unknown. كان دينا, it's a debt. صحيحا, so it has to be a sahih debt, so it's not a ضعيف debt, so it's a valid, strong debt. أن يقول تكفلت ب1,000. أدرك يدرك. So أدرك يدرك is from the دارك, which means something that comes up to such and such amount for someone. Right, so it comes up to such and such, someone has a particular responsibility. You call this dark. مكفول له, the person who the guaranteeing is being done for. بخيار إن شاء طالب. طالب يطالب طالبة. طالب is a fail, to demand. Al-asl, the original person. Asl means here the original individual, meaning the makful person for whom the kafala has been done. مكفول عنه. And وإن شاء يشاء طالب الكفيل, the guarantor. جوز تعليق is to tie. Right, so literally to tie or to attach. كفالة بالشرط, لأن يقول ما بايعت. So بايع يبايع مبايعة, to sell something to someone. Right, بايعت. فلانا فعلي أو ما ذاب. ذاب means to literally to melt. And فعلي غصب, it means to usurp. Okay, so that's basically it. Let's have a look now at the tarkib, because tarkib, actually speaking to someone this week and they were saying to me, please carry on the tarkib. So it looks like you guys have one tarkib, people. Shabash, well done. وإن تكفل, so تكفل is فعل and فاعل and بنفسه جار مجرور على أنه إن لم يوافي فوافى يوافي موافاة. Right, so this originally was يوافي, and then the ya gets cut off because of the jazm. في وقت كذا مضاف مضاف إليه, and this is مبني. فهو ضامن خبر. لما عليه وهو 1,000. 1,000 is the خبر of هو. لم يحضره في ذلك الوقت. So this is the بدل of ذلك. لازمه ضمان المال. ولم يبرأ من الكفالة بالنفس. ولا يجوز الكفالة is the فاعل بالنفس في الحدود والقصاص عند أبي حنيفة وقال يجوز. أما الكفالة بالمال فجائزة معلوما كان المال المكفول به أو مجهولا إذا كان دينا, so this is the خبر صحيحا مثل أن يقول this was تكفلت تكلفت, it's a mistake, تكفلت. Alright, so change that, تكفلت عنه ب1000 أو بما لك عليه أو بما يدركك. Right, so يدركك فاعل في هذا البيع والمكفول له مبتدأ بالخيار. Right, so that's going to be the okay. إن شاء طالب is the جزاء, so طالب الذي عليه الأصل, so الأصل is the مبتدأ, عليه خبر, وإن شاء طالب الكفيله مفعول به. ويجوز فعل تعليق الكفالة فاعل بالشرط مثل أن يقول ما بايعته. Right, so فلانا فعلي. So فعلي فهو علي. So here what would be hidden would be something like هو مبتدأ علي. أو ما ذاب في الفاعل لك عليه فعلي. Right, so فعلي. أو ما غاصبك فلان في الفاعل فعلي. Okay, so there you have the terkib of it. Now let's have a look at the explanation of this. Alright, so this is now continuing with the concept of kafala. So إذا تكفل بنفسه. So let's say for example this is a guy. Now this guy, he is the kafil for, let's say, this individual over here. Now I forget which colors I use in all the videos, so I do apologize if it gets a bit confusing. So kafil, today we're going to be using blue for kafil. So this is the kafil, and this guy is the asl. This is the guy for whom the kafala is being done. Let's call him Zaid. And this is the other party. All right, so this is the other party. We call the makful lahu. Kafala has been done for them. So Zaid is the makful bihi. Right, so we call him Zaid. So let's say for instance Zaid, he owes £1,000. Right, he owes £1,000 to makful lahu. Right, and he's not giving that money. So makful lahu has now gone to the judge. He's told the judge, and he said to the judge, right, there's this guy, he's not paying up, so we need this sorted. So what happens in this case is that the makful lahu, he wants a guarantor, because the judge has said this guy has to turn up, I don't know, let's say Thursday. This guy has to turn up on Thursday, the day we make the al-Qudoori videos. This guy's got to turn up on Thursday at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. this guy's got to turn up. So the kafil says, okay, I guarantee that I will bring him. Now, if he says that, he has to guarantee that he brings him, okay? So we've already established this. But if he also adds to this, I will bring him, number one, and if not, I'll pay. So he's guaranteed two things now. Bringing out the individual, and if the guy doesn't turn up, then he's going to pay the money as well. Right? So this is the problem we have in this situation. So let's have a look. So it says, وَإِن تَكَفَّلَ بِنَفْسِهِ. If a person, this kafil, has done kafala bin nafs. Nafs means to bring the guy to court. Right? To bring Zayd to court. Ala, on the condition, أَنَّهُ إِن لَمْ يُوَافِ بِهِ. That if he does not fulfill this, like, I will bring him. Right? If he does not fulfill this, فِي وَقْتِ كَذَا, on such and such a date, 6 p.m. Thursday, فَهُوَ, the kafil will be the guarantor, لِمَا عَلَيْهِ, for anything that is upon Zayd, which in this case is £1,000. Make sense? وَهُوَ أَلْفٌ, which is 1,000. Now let's say Thursday comes 6 p.m. and everyone's in court and kafil has not brought Zayd. وَلَمْ يُحْدِرْهُ فِي ذَلِكَ الْوَقْتِ, and he does not present him at that time. لَزِمَهُ ضَمَانُ الْمَالِ. So now it's going to be necessary on the kafil to compensate, pay that money, compensation, because he guaranteed it, that's the thing. So he gave his word, he's got to stick to it now. And also on top of that, وَلَمْ يَبْرَأْ min kafalati bin nafsi, and he's not still, has not availed, has not been exonerated from the kafala bin nafs. So kafala bin nafs is still going on, right? Kafala bin nafs is still going on because he guaranteed that and he also guaranteed this, right? So he has guaranteed that he's going to bring him and he also guaranteed this. All right, so that masala is done. That seems quite straightforward. Doesn't seem like a difficult one, does it? All right, so let's have a look at a different one then. Okay, so next one. So let's say, for instance, these kind of court cases, it's fine, right? So we accept these kind of court cases, no problem. But what about a court case where it's to do with a criminal penalty? So, for example, this is the kafil. This is Mr. Kafil. This is his client, right, Zaid. And this is the plaintiff, the person who's making the claim, right? So the makful lahu. So Zaid has, let's say, killed the makful's brother, right? So Zaid has killed the makful's brother, or let's say Zaid has, I don't know, has committed some sort of crime, some fornication or something like that, and now he has to be presented at court. And Kafil had guaranteed and said, you know what, I will guarantee that Zaid will come to court. Is he allowed to do that? Is he allowed to bring someone? So let's have a look, for example. Let's say the case is to do with a case of slander. So someone has slandered. Zaid has slandered. You know, he said to, you are a fornicator. Yeah, not in a very nice way. He said to him, you are a fornicator. Now this is called slander in Islam. And if you slander someone, you can actually be taken to court and then you can actually receive a penalty. The penalty is 80 lashes you can get. So the question now is this kafala valid? So Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he says no. Abu Hanifa says you don't do kafala in these two things. Hudud, which is the divine penalties, 5 of them. Right, so divine penalties, inshallah, we will be doing those. So these are 5 penalties out there which Allah has ordained, right? And they are zina, fornication, they are drinking wine, and slander, theft, and highway robbery. Let's put highway. High. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so these are the 5 penalties. Abu Hanifa says it's not necessary for the kafil to bring him. Right, so he says no. And however, according to Imam Abu Yusuf and Imam Muhammad, they say yes, the kafala, just like the kafala works. Just like the kafala works over here in this case, right? In the money case, it also applies over here as well. So that's the difference between the two. Now, why does Abu Hanifa say you don't? It's because hudud and qisas, all these penalties, hudud or murder, whatever it is, the idea is to try and get the other side to forgive them. So the more excuses you put in place, the less you make it like strict, then the more likely it is that people are going to forgive each other. But if the guy turns up and he brings him, then the most likely they'll go ahead with the case. So Hanifa is saying the idea of these cases is to try and get them dismissed as quick as possible, right? Sahibain say no, that's not the point. The point is that can you guarantee someone? And that's fine. All right. Now, when we talk about hudud more, this is something we're going to talk about in detail. Okay, so we're going to talk about the idea of, the Sharia wants people to drop the hudud as much as possible. وَلَا يَجُوزُ الْكَفَالَةُ بِالنَّفْسِ is not jaiz in regards to the 5 divine penalties, وَالْقِصَاص, and to murder retribution. According to Imam Abu Hanifa, وَقَالَ صَاحِبٍ say يَجُوزُ, they say it's allowed. Right? So these are the divine penalties. And then qisas is simply where someone has injured someone or someone has killed someone. Right, so now what about kafala bil mal? We call this kafala bil mal. Kafala bil mal is like the one we did above, but that's to do with the person. So let's say it's to do with the wealth. Someone owes someone wealth and now they need to pay up for it. So what about this kafala bil mal? So let's say there's this guy, Kafil. Mr. Kafil, he has this client of his, let's call him Zaid. And then there is this person that Zaid owes money to. right? So he is like the makful lahu. Now, in this case, the mal that he owes, so let's say for instance it's, I don't know, £500. This mal is called the makful bihi. Okay, this mal is called makful bihi. Makful lahu, makful bihi, and kafil, right? And Zayd would then in that case be the makful anhu. So he says, as for kafala, amma al-kafala to as for kafala bil mal, right? So in this case it's £500. فجائزة معلوما كان المال, whether the mal is known, so in our case it's 500, or whether he doesn't even know how much is owed, right? Makful bihi, whether the makful bihi is known or it's majhul or unknown. So for example, like, you know, Zayd, he owes money, an undisclosed amount of money, and Kafil says, whatever it is, I'll cover it, right? So whatever it is, I'll cover it. That's basically. Now he says, إِذَا كَانَ, so long as it's considered to be a dain sahih, right? He said it has to be a dain sahih. So a dain, what's the opposite of a dain sahih? And a dain da'if. So a dain sahih is a dain, so if I just put it over here, it's a debt which can only be absolved if a person has paid or it's been pardoned. Paid or pardoned, right? So it either has to be paid or pardoned. Any debt which can drop, even if it's not paid or pardoned, then that's not called a dain sahih. So for example, let's say you have a slave, and then you got that slave to make an agreement with you that if he pays you £1,000, he's free. That's a debt on his shoulders, but it's a dain da'if, meaning if he can't pay, it automatically drops. So a normal debt where you owe a shopkeeper some money, or the shopkeeper can actually forgive you for it, that's called a dain sahih. It has to be a dain sahih, basically. Somewhere where it can only be paid off or pardoned. So he says, mithal, like, mithal, similar to, and yaqul, a person says, takaffaltu anhu, I have done kafala, he says. So these are the wordings he uses. Bi alfin, of 1,000, number one. Or bima laka alayhi, whatever you are owed, he's speaking to the makful lahu, whatever you are owed, alayhi, upon him. Right? Bima laka, with whatever it's for you upon him. Or bima yudrikuka, or whatever yudrikuka. So what does yudrikuka mean? So let's say, for example, I have to draw this a bit in a different place because this is called damanu dark. Okay, so I want to explain it a little bit, right? So I'd like to be very clear about something. So let's say, for example, this guy is going to buy this car. Right, this is a fast car. This is, don't laugh at it. And this is the kafil. Now, this buyer, he wants to buy this car, but he's thinking, what if this car does not really belong to this seller, right? So what if this car is not his? What if it gets scammed? So the kafil says to the buyer, listen, he says, if something happens, let's say you buy the car on Monday, right? And then on Friday you find out the car is not his, so you paid the money. He's saying, don't worry, I will pay you all that. I will take it from my pocket. I'll give you from my pocket, right? So this is called yudrik. Yeah, it's called dark al-daman. Or daman ad-dark. Right, so I will pay you, I will sort it out from my pocket. You don't worry. So he's trying to make him feel comfortable that he's not going to lose out. It's like similarly, like, let's say, for example, a credit card company, because that's literally what a credit card company does, is like that. They're like sorting you out. Right? If anything happens, they'll take care of it. So this is called daman ad-dark. So the kafil says to the buyer, so he's doing on his behalf, that look, if the seller, some scam happens and another person turns up and says this car is mine, then basically you're sorted. Right? Any money you've paid for it, from my pocket, I'll give it to you. I'll sort it out. Right? So he says, this is what daman ad-dark is basically on about. Does that make sense, guys? Do you like that explanation? Yes? No? Maybe? Right? So he says, bima yudrikuka, whatever it comes up to, fi hadha al-bay, in this particular transaction, right? The one that I showed you over there. All right. Now, in this case, because you have two people, the guy over here, he actually can either get the money from the kafil, this guy. So the makfulah can either get the money from the kafil, number one, or he can get it from the asl, Right? This is the asal guy, right? The original guy. You call him the makful anhu. Right? So he's called the asil. So he's got a choice. And that's basically what he wants to say over here. He says, wal makful lahu bil khiyar. The makful lahu has a choice. In sha, if he wishes, talaba, he can demand alladhi alayhi al-asl, the one who the money is upon, the original guy. Wa in sha, and if he wishes, he can demand it from the kafil. Right, so he's got a choice over here. Alright, now the last masala is this now. Okay, so what is the last masala? So the last masala is basically, this is condition. Can you make a kafala condition? Right, so you call this ta'liq or shart. Okay, so ta'liq can be darker. So let's say, for example, there's this guy, and this is the kafil. Right, so this is the kafil. So what's happening over here is that this kafil statement now, it depends what he's actually going to say now. So he's saying, for example, like he says to, I'm trying to bring this a bit more. Right, so this guy says, whatever you buy or trade, whatever you buy, I'll sort it out. So therefore, that is now conditional. So that condition is whatever he buys, he will pay. Right. So he's made a condition over here. And there's these other Arabic words, and I won't really write these down, but I'll just show you this. Right. So he says, let's see. So he says, وَيَجُوزُ تَعْلِيقُ الْكَفَالَ. Kafala, like a conditional kafala, is jaiz bisharti, with the condition, with a shart. Right. So like I told you, whatever you buy. مثل أن يقول, such that he says, ما بايعت فلانا, whatever you buy from so and so, فعلي. I'll sort it out. Meaning I'll take care of it. Or ما ذاب لك عليه, whatever is for you upon him, whatever you're owed, right, from him. ذاب لك عليه فعلي. And ما غصبك فلان, whatever so and so he usurps from you, I'll take care of it. فعلي. Right, so any of these statements over here, as you can tell, there are three statements here. بايعت, number one, and then ذاب لك عليه, number two, and then you've got ما غصبك, number three. Right, all these cases, one is to do with trade, and one is to do with just anything that comes upon the person, and one is usurping. Right, so these conditions, if they are met, then the kafil is responsible now. He's the one that has to pay for this. Right, and that's basically what it's going to show. Now, dhaba is just an Arabic word. It literally means to melt, but Arabs use it to mean like if you're owed something. All right, so, okay. Khalas, I think that's a nice lesson, that is. I like that lesson. Let me know if you guys enjoyed that lesson as well. So, let's have some questions now. Question. If a person was to do kafala of nafs, and then he said, whatever the guy owes, I'll give that, does that become necessary on him? Yes. If he does not bring him to court, then he has to pay that money as well, and he still has to bring him to court. Okay, number two. Are you allowed to do kafala bin nafs when it comes to hudud and qisas? Now, kafala bin nafs means to bring the guy to court for one of these cases. Abu Hanifa says it's not necessary. Sahibain say yes, it's permissible. Okay. Next, now it's going to come later on. You cannot substitute a guy for a court case. So if someone has been found guilty of murder, you can't step in his place and say, "Oh, give me the punishment." You can't do that at all. Right? So don't get that confused with this. All right. What about kafala bil mal? What is kafala bil mal? So kafala bil mal is basically where you guarantee that you're going to pay something to someone that is owed to you, right? As long as it's a dayn sahih, right? And does he have to mention exactly how much he owes? No, he doesn't have to mention it. What does damanu dark mean? Damanu dark is where someone is hesitating to buy something or sell something, hesitating to buy something, and then you say to them, if anything was to happen later on and you got scammed, I'll sort it out. I'll pay for it. And what about the makful lahu? Who can he demand the money from? So legally he can demand the money from the original guy, the asl, or he can demand it from the kafil. And finally, what is ta'liq al-kafala? What's that all about? So ta'liq al-kafala is when the kafil, he is to make a condition of the money that he owes. So if he says, for example, like, whatever you owe, whenever you owe it, whatever you buy, whatever this, whatever that, then he has to say he has to give that thing. Khalas. Jazakumullah khair, guys. Thank you for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. That you guys leave comments and you guys share my videos. It makes me very happy. And make special dua for my channel, guys, for the work that I do. Allah accepts it. And also, thank you to all my beautiful patrons. Make special dua for all of them. One of my patrons who has been diagnosed with cancer, make special dua for him. Allah gives him shifa kamil, and also his son as well, who also has a similar issue. And if anyone wants to become a patron, support my channel, please consider it. It means a lot to me because it helps the channel to grow, and also it helps me to be able to spare time so that I can make these videos more often. And at the end of the day, it's a sadaqah jariyah, guys, right? So people around the world are benefiting from these videos. These videos are free of charge for people to watch, inshallah ta'ala. So join, inshallah, our project, our effort, and you can contact me in the details below. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.